The purple sky of Kepler 442b burned with the light of dying ships. Ambassador Zethkar pressed his six-fingered hand against the reinforced viewport of the embassy's safe room, watching another Galactic Council vessel explode in brilliant orange flames above the capital city of New Harmony. "They're not coming," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez, the human xenobiologist who had been trapped with the diplomatic party when the hegemony forces arrived. Her dark eyes reflected the chaos outside. "The nearest Council fleet is 3 systems away. We'll be dead before—" "The humans will come," Zethkar interrupted, his translator collar rendering his chittering speech into precise standard. The tall, mantis-like Veltar had served as ambassador to dozens of species, but in his 40 years of diplomatic service, he had never met beings quite like humans. They do not abandon their own. Dr. Vasquez shook her head, auburn hair falling across her face. "I'm just one person, Ambassador. Earth has bigger concerns than one stranded scientist." The building shuddered as hegemony artillery struck nearby. Through the smoke and fire, the insectoid hegemony forces could be seen marching through the streets, their chitinous armor gleaming dully in the alien sunlight. They had come to this peaceful research colony like a plague of locusts, demanding submission to their expanding empire. "You underestimate your species," said Captain Mordak, the Corvin security chief. His bear-like frame was hunched over a tactical display showing the enemy positions. "In all my years of studying military history, I have learned that humans are different. They calculate acceptable losses differently than the rest of us." The sound of approaching aircraft made them all freeze, but these weren't the familiar whine of hegemony fighters. This was something else, a deep, thrumming roar that seemed to shake the very air. Zethkar's compound eyes widened as black shapes began falling from the sky like deadly rain. No, not falling. Dropping, with purpose. "What are those?" Dr. Vasquez pressed against the window beside him. The first wave hit the ground 3 kilometers away, and Zethkar's enhanced vision caught details that made his respiratory spiracles flutter with excitement. Armored figures in matte black combat suits, each one creating a small crater upon impact. They didn't use conventional landing craft or drop pods like civilized species. They simply fell from orbit, trusting in their technology and their bodies to survive. "Impossible," breathed Captain Mordak. "No organic being can survive orbital insertion without a vehicle." But the humans were already moving, their forms barely visible as they engaged hegemony positions with weapons that painted the evening. Sky with plasma fire. The distinctive crack hiss of human railguns began echoing through the city. "How many?" Dr. Vasquez asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zethkar watched as more shapes detached from the darkness above. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "Your entire species appears to have come for you, Dr. Vasquez." The tactical display showed impossible readings. Hegemony forces that had been systematically conquering the city were suddenly finding themselves surrounded, outflanked and overwhelmed. The human soldiers moved like nothing Zethkar had ever witnessed, not with the rigid formations of Corvin infantry or the swarming tactics of Veltar warriors, but with a fluid, adaptive intelligence that seemed to anticipate every enemy move. "Look at their deployment pattern," Captain Mordak muttered, his clawed fingers dancing over the display controls. "They're not just trying to win. They're trying to minimize civilian casualties while maximizing enemy losses. The mathematical precision is beautiful." Through his ambassador's neural link, Zethkar began receiving reports from across the colony. Human soldiers were appearing everywhere, not just in the capital but in every settlement, every research station, every place where civilians might be trapped. They hadn't sent a token rescue force. They had sent an army. "Attention all civilian personnel," came a voice over the emergency frequencies. The accent was distinctly human, American if Zethkar remembered his cultural studies correctly. "This is Colonel Sarah Chen, United Earth Defense Corps. We are here to extract all friendlies. Stay in your shelters, keep your heads down, and trust us to do what we do best." Dr. Vasquez was crying now, tears streaming down her face as she watched the battle unfold. "They came for me. All of them came for me. Not just for you, Zethkar corrected gently. For everyone. Look, the tactical display showed human soldiers forming protective perimeters around Veltar nurseries, Corvin meditation centers, and the crystalline dwelling complexes of the Zephyrians. They were fighting just as hard to protect alien civilians as they were their own scientist. An explosion rocked the building again, but this time it was different, closer, more controlled. The heavy blast doors of their safe room began to cycle open, and 3 figures in midnight black armor stepped inside. The lead soldier's faceplate retracted, revealing a woman with steel-gray eyes and short-cropped blonde hair. Dr. Vasquez, Colonel Chen, UEDC, we're here to bring you home. But the human woman's attention immediately shifted to the other refugees. Ambassador Zethkar, Captain Mordak, we have evacuation transports standing by for all civilian personnel. No one gets left behind. How? Dr. Vasquez asked, her voice hoarse with emotion. How did you get here so fast? Colonel Chen's expression grew grim. The moment we lost contact with the research colony, Earth mobilized everything. We had ships en route within 6 hours. The Council said it would take weeks to mount a response through proper channels. She shrugged. We don't do proper channels when our people are in danger. As they moved through the building toward the extraction point, Zethkar marveled at what he was seeing. The humans hadn't just defeated the hegemony forces, they had done it while treating the wounded enemies with medical care, securing their retreat routes and ensuring that the colony's infrastructure remained intact for rebuilding. Outside, human soldiers were already distributing aid supplies and helping to coordinate refugee movements. They worked with the same deadly efficiency they had shown in combat, but now it was turned toward preservation rather than destruction. Your species fascinates me, Zethkar told Colonel Chen as they boarded the evacuation transport. Most civilized races would have negotiated, sought a diplomatic solution, weighed the costs. Maybe that's why we're not that civilized, Chen replied with a slight smile. We heard someone was in trouble. Someone called for help. That's all the justification we needed. As their transport lifted off, Dr. Vasquez looked back at the colony where buildings were already being repaired by human engineering teams. I keep thinking about what you said earlier, Ambassador, about humans calculating acceptable losses differently. Zethkar nodded, his compound eyes reflecting the lights of the human fleet now filling the system. Indeed. For most species, acceptable losses are measured in resources, time, strategic value. But humans... He paused, choosing his words carefully. For humans, the only acceptable loss is 0. They will spend everything they have before they abandon a single life. Through the viewport, more human ships were arriving. Hospital vessels, engineering craft, supply transports. Not an invasion fleet, but something far more dangerous to an empire built on fear and abandonment. A rescue mission with unlimited resources and unshakable resolve. The hegemony had thought no one would come. They had calculated that the galaxy's species would weigh costs and benefits, seek diplomatic solutions, consider the strategic implications. They had not calculated for humanity.